Salutations from space and aloha from Earth, friends. This is Gemini Brett of Fourth Astrology, here with Stellarium training video number 1 for our sacred astronomy course. And there is an audio mishap. All right, let me play with some things on Windows you can't see now. Let me show them to you. Right now, it is January 1st, 2018. Happy New Year, 8:07:42 in Monterey, California is where I am right now at my mother's house. We got Capricorn on the rise at 23rd degree. Mars applying to the Scorpio midheaven and all sorts of these things that we can see. And we can't see, like Lilith and Eris and Juno and Vesta. You can see her sometimes. Chiron and Ceres and Pallas Athena, and just realizing I haven't had Pluto on my charts. So I didn't know he's rising right now. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. We can take this down to the 7 visible lights and the nodes, which are invisible, but we can learn to see them, and we will be doing so during the course of this course. All right, but I want to show this thing here in the sky. So let's open up Stellarium software. And here we go. Here's Stellarium, including all these tricky keyboard shortcuts that I've created for my own personal use and whatnot. And what I'm going to do right now, and it's tricky to do this, is I'm going to get rid of all of those keyboard shortcuts so together we can start from scratch. Yikes, restore defaults. Oh, okay, great. Now I'm going to close my Stellarium. I'm going to open Stellarium to default mode. We'll see what that looks like. And so job number 1, that's a whole different scene, isn't it? Looks like I am in Monterey. I guess it holds the last place that I had set for my local location, which is cool. I guess if I really wanted to go hardcore at this, I would remove Stellarium from my computer altogether and go through the install, but I'm your sacred astronomy instructor, and I'll be a Stellarium instructor or guide, but I will not be your IT guy, okay? So if you have a hard time installing Stellarium, please work with the Stellarium people, not with me. I've got lots of other things to do to prepare the information for our course. I hope you will download the software, and I'll show you where to do so. Stellarium.org. Let's see that this thing's working. It is. That's freaky. Okay. So you pick your operating system. I'm sure a lot of you guys are running Linux, right? I can't even say it. Right? But so here's Windows. Are you 32-bit or 64-bit? If you don't know, you're going to have to sort that out. And you can just do a Google search, is my Windows 32-bit or 64-bit? And it will show you where to look. And then you can sort that out. I'm running Mac, right? I'm running Mac OS X. For Mac folks, sorry, this is going to sound weird because I have to move the microphone. You can go up to the Apple there, about this Mac, and it will show you which operating system you're running. I'm running version 10.12.6 Sierra. Keeps telling me to update. Sorry for this noise once again. Okay. So, and by the way, the microphone on my introductory video, which I recorded an hour or so ago, couple of hours ago, was kind of crackly. I hope that's not the case with this one. I unfortunately cannot tell. Currently sitting with how in the future might I be able to figure that out? Well, I guess just by asking you. Does my mic sound okay? And then if I was watching the Zoom video comments or the Facebook comments, perhaps I would hear from you. Does my mic sound okay? And hello again. So at least we know it's working, hopefully not crackly. All right, so here we go. I'm on a Mac, and so I would go to Mac, download, and it actually just starts downloading right there. And then I would slide that into my applications as we do on Mac. You've installed applications before. If you need help with that, please go to like Stellarium, frequently asked questions and all that stuff. Where we're going to start is assuming that you have it installed. Now, again, maybe not again, this is totally optional, right? Like you don't have to become a Stellarium software expert to receive information from this course and training in sacred astronomy and all that stuff. I can do that. We'll be looking at Stellarium on my screen and we'll be recorded on the chapter videos and all that, right? But, you know, playing at home is going to be the way that you can better integrate this information. It sounds good, not crackly. Thank you very much, Faye. I hope it's okay to show your name here on this video. Oops. That's something I should be more considerate of. All right, so here are the visible lights right now, and let's assume I got my Stellarium downloaded, installed, and brought down for a Mac down to my desktop, you know, toolbar there, and I can look here, Stellarium, when I just first open it up. So it's interesting to see. I'm also in full screen mode here. Sorry for the noise in Stellarium, which I'm going to bring it down to not full screen. I don't know how that will open up for you, but we'll get it to fill more of the screen. I just do that because I want to be able to see my camera too, and other things that aren't necessarily such a concern. This looks a lot different than it did when I first opened it up, right? All right, and so here's my goal. I'm going to find this moment in time in Stellarium. So 8:07:44 a.m. in Monterey, California. I'm already in Monterey. I'd rather assume I'm not. So first we're going to just take it somewhere arbitrary here. I'm going to Algeria. Wonderful. Okay. All right. So we'll look at the menus in Stellarium. We're just going to look at what happens when you first bring it up. I guess my Stellarium just finished downloading. And then we'll work on location and time in this first training video. Okay, so how you can cast your own personal nativity or birth chart using Stellarium. That will be optional Stellarium homework assignment number 1. Cast your birth chart. This will require T. Okay. All right. So let's look at the menus in Stellarium. You have 2 menu bars. There's a menu taskbar on the left here, and then also one down below. And sometimes they come up if you just hover your mouse. Sometimes you've got to leave your mouse over there for a little while. You see these arrows as well. So you can click those and they bring up the menus. And actually, it looks like if I click those arrows, the menus stay. I never knew that. I'm leaving them for now, right? So let's just do that again. Here's these stop buttons, I guess, put them away. And then I can hover to bring them up. And sometimes you just have to leave your mouse there for a while for them to come up. But it looks like I can also hit these play buttons. And then the menus stay there. Sweet. I've been trained, right? So this program is gigantic. I learn new things about it all the time. All right, let's look at time. See that clock? Right, the date and time window. And we'll look at a keyboard shortcut of how to pull that up later in another video. Right now, let's just work with the menu bars, okay? So here is the date and time. And I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, in Algeria, in this place that I'm sadly cannot pronounce at 504 meters of altitude, it's currently 5:16 and 26 seconds p.m. Okay, wonderful. What about in Monterey where I sit? So you see this time bar here, right? I can send this to 0300 AD on August 3rd. And by the way, this is month, day, American style. I don't know if you can change that to Euro style if you prefer. At 11 p.m. But then it's still ticking, right? So I just went to this place in Algeria on August 3rd at 11 p.m. It's still ticking. How can I get that to stop? I can push pause. Here's play. Another way I could do that is that if I'm clicked in the screen here, by the way, I just clicked on a star and you see all that information coming up, and then I can right click or on a mouse 2-finger click the way I have my trackpad set up to get that to go away. I can hit the number on my keyboard 8 to bring it to right now, and 7 to stop the clock. So there's a couple keyboard shortcuts that are helpful. Otherwise, if I want to bring it to right now, I can click this down arrow, right? So let me show you. We'll fast forward time, and see all these different speeds that I can do. And I'm just clicking this fast forward button down here in the bottom right. Yeah, you can go just like super nuts. I can click it back to play. I can go to right now, and here's right now. We see the time ticking, and I can hit pause. Okay. Well, what if I want to bring it to where I am right now, and then we'll get back to this. So here's the location, this compass rose. And there I'm going to select Monterey, California. And here's a few different options. Monterey, United States. I can see the arrow goes where I believe I am in California. I can also see that the latitude is 36 degrees, 36 minutes north, 121 degrees, 53 minutes, about 54 minutes west. So let's check 36, 36, 121, 54. Here's 36, 36, 121, 53. This is Intrepid astrology software. One of the things I love about this program is it does show me the latitude and longitude of the location where I am. What if you're in a location that doesn't show up in Stellarium? I could click somewhere nearby, for instance. And look, now I'm typing San Francisco. Nothing's coming up. This happens sometimes. Good to show that. Reset location list and type again. Here's San Francisco, which I'm sure is going to show up. But Monterey, where I'm sitting, does too. Today, I'll be driving to my sister's place in San Anselmo, California, which is also here. What if I was going to, what's a good example? I want to see if Marina just up the way, that is here. I'm trying to just find a very small town name that might not show up. Fairfax does. That's not happening so well. So let's go over to Intrepid, because you might live or you might have been born in a city or a town or a village that doesn't show up on Intrepid. And I would like to show you how to create a space there. You know what, maybe I'll just create one without worrying about it. Well, no, let's do this. All right, so let me go in Intrepid software. I can relocate. I'm going to be in the United States and California. And let's see if Adams Square shows up. I can see it's in Los Angeles County. But here I am in Stellarium looking for Adams Square. Okay, so this is not a location in Stellarium, so I'd like to add it. So in my Intrepid software, I can look at Adams Square, Los Angeles, and here's the moment now there with Aquarius in their eyes, whatever. But what I'm looking for in Intrepid is this. 34 degrees north, 34 degrees, 8 minutes north, 118 degrees, 14 minutes west. Well, you might not have Intrepid astrology software, and that's not free, right? So we'll go online, and I will look for Adams Square, California, lat long, right? Latitude, longitude. And it comes to me in these decimal versions okay, of latitude and longitude. And that's cool. All right, so first we're going to work in two ways. Let's work with the north latitude in the way that I see it here on my astrology chart, which you may see on yours as well. 34 degrees north in 8 minutes, okay? So and it's called, what again? Adams Square, California. So I'm gonna go here in Stellarium. And first, because I know it's close to Los Angeles, I'm gonna go to Los Angeles. And that just brings the latitude and longitude here in the location close to where I wanna go. But where I want to go precisely is 34 degrees, 8 minutes, okay? So this is the marker for minutes, 1 apostrophe, for seconds, 2 apostrophes. Well, there's no seconds in that number I have on Intrepid, right? I have 34 degrees, 8 minutes. So I'm just going to turn this 3 into an 8, and there's 34 degrees, 8 minutes. I'm going to name this new location that I'm creating Adams Square, California. Keep it in the United States. And I have to pick my time zone. And I am in the Los Angeles time zone. So that's all good, right? So there we go. 34, 8 minutes. Well, what about west? I could go here and I could turn this 118 degrees in 14 minutes. And see that I'm actually already set there because this place is in Los Angeles. But I could also go over here and I could copy and paste this 118.2403 degrees west and then go into Stellarium and just replace that whole thing with that decimal number, I believe. No, I can't. So 118.2403. 118.2403 west. It did east. But you can see that it turned it into degrees, minutes, and seconds. So I'm just going to turn that east into west. And the deal was I had typed it in wrong. So I'm going to do that from scratch again. Let me delete that. I'm going to type W. Oh, that's not working. Anyway, back to this 118.2403. I typed that in here. 118.2403. And it's east, so I'm going to turn that E to a W, and we're good. Okay, 34 degrees, 8 minutes is probably less exact than this measure, 34.1336. So I'm going to go put that in here, 34.1336. And you can see north was the default there. Okay, yeah, 34 degrees, 8 minutes, and 0.96 seconds of arc, right? Should we talk about arc? And no, we'll do that during the course. This is just optional Stellarium training. 96 meters. Is that true? That was the value in Stellarium for Los Angeles. And I'm going to go back to the web and I'm going to say Adams Square, California, altitude. And I'm going to say 502 feet. Well, in Stellarium, let's see if I could write 502 feet. No, it's stuck in meters, right? So it's not 502 meters. So now I'm going to say 502 feet in meters. And the answer is 153.01. More than, so Adams Square is higher than the Los Angeles altitude. Sorry, where was I? 153.01 meters. 153.01. I think I'm just going to call that 153. It didn't look like I had a decimal option. I took it up to 15,000 meters, and I don't think that there's a mountain almost as tall as Mount Everest in Los Angeles. Maybe, but I don't think so. All right, so here now we have the accurate, very precise actually, latitude, longitude, and altitude for this place that I typed in as a new place, Adams Square, comma, California, and I'm going to add that to the list. And if I live there, I might even choose to check this box, use current location as default. I'm probably going to elect enable daylight losing time, which I hate to. Deep out to the states of Arizona and Hawaii for not choosing that nonsense. And am I going to choose use custom time zone? No, because this is in Los Angeles. I'm going to choose the Los Angeles time zone. And I'm set up, and I added that to my list. So now I could go over back to Algeria, and then I could, let's just start from scratch, go to my location. Okay. You can see also, let's do this. While I'm hovering over the location window, see that location window F6 over here? Well, that means I could just hit the function F6 button. I learned on Mac that actually that's my increase my brightness of my screen button. So I have to, on a Macintosh anyway, hold down the function button, the lower left corner of my keyboard anyway, and then hit F6. And there comes the location window. So it's kind of a quicker way than going over here to find that thing if you start learning these keyboard shortcuts. F5 is the date and time, all right? So let's go to Adams Square. There we go. And so I type that in, it comes up, I'm gonna click on that, okay? Another thing I could have done, reset location list, go back to Algeria, spending a lot of time in Algeria today, is I can get into my location window and then I can go return to default location. Why? Because I set Adams Square up as my default location. And I'm gonna change that now. I want to cast this chart in Monterey. So Monterey Park, no, I'm in Monterey, United States. There it is, and I can confirm this simply for me by looking at my astrology software, which we already did. Monterey, California, Monterey, 8:29:07 a.m. real time. I can't remember when we started now. I think it was something like the 21st degree or 22nd degree of Capricorn on the rise with Mars at the midheaven. I remember saying something like that. Let's go. We'll just go back to 8 a.m. No, we won't. Go to 8:11. Great. So I want to get this time in Monterey cast in Stellarium. All right. So there's Monterey, and it's already in Stellarium. And here's the latitude and longitude, 36 degrees, 36 minutes. I confirm that that is true. 121 degrees, 53 minutes. Yes, actually 60 arc seconds in an arc minute, just like 60 seconds in a minute of time. So 40.83 is about 41 arc seconds. So I would round that up to 54 personally, and that's not what's being shown in Intrepid, but it's probably not doing rounding. It probably also shows it probably also knows the arc seconds of this location. It's just not displaying it, okay? And here's the altitude, 13 meters where I sit right now, or at least wherever Stellarium believes the altitude of Monterey should be measured from, and etc. So I'm in Monterey, and I guess I'll make this my default location. So here again is that box. I wonder about this get location from network thing. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm using Monterey now as my default location. And just to prove that that worked, I'm going to reset my location list. I'm going to go back to Algeria. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to say return to default location. And here I am. You can see down here Monterey. You can see the arrow there. You can see the lat long altitude, the name of the city. We're all good. Okay. So I'm where I wanted to start. Now, to get this set to this time now, over here, location window, no, we're there, time window. Or, as you can see, function 5, right? So I can click this on and off, but especially when that menu's not up, like let's do this. Going over there, hovering for the compass to show itself, and sometimes it does this weird like half expression like you were seeing for a second and can be delayed. Function F5, if I know that, is a quick way for me to bring my clock up, right? And we wanted to say what, 8:11 a.m. Let's do 8:11:11 to be cute. Okay, so there we are. 24-hour time is the default. So if this was PM, I would say 12 plus 8 is 20, would be 8 PM. But the chart we're looking at is 8, 11, 8, right? This chart. Are we going to see Pluto on the horizon? No. And in fact, we're going to have to add Pluto into Stellarium because the astronomers have reclassified Pluto because they aren't aware of what happened in their life during those significant Pluto transits that would never allow them to honor Pluto as anything but a rather effective planet, energetically speaking. Okay, so here we are. And what do we see? Any of this? No. We see this. Why? Because sun sign astrology? No, because the sun is dang bright. And I'm not seeing that while I'm looking south. How do I know? S. Where does the sun rise? In the east. Does the sun rise due east? Well, let's go look over there. Huh. No. Is this because the sun rose some time ago? Let's check. Let's use our date and time situation, and we will rewind time. So once I'm selected on minutes here, now I can use the down cursor on my keyboard to kind of really quickly control time. If you watch the introductory video, you'll see that one of the reasons why I'm starting right now is because Mercury today, New Year's Day, January 1st, 2018, which will also feature what? A super Cancer full moon. Mercury's at maximum elongation, the furthest from the sun today you can get. And we could play, not today, but we could play in the future to see how that changes. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. But not in this moment. But look at where the sun rose today. Well, south of due east. Wait, what? I thought the sun rose east. No. So not at solstice, December solstice time, as far south of east as possible. And that's where we are going in the first 2 chapters of our web course. All right, so back to right now. Well, actually the chart in question, we're going to call this a birth chart, 8/11/11 on 1/1/2018. Okay. So on my left and right cursors, I can have a look around. And this grassy image with this strange building and stuff, I believe this is where Stellarium software was created. So right now, by the way, I'm just pushing my left and right cursor buttons, okay? I could also point up and down, right? Really nice grass, man. I can use my mouse to click and drag around, okay? Left, right, up, down, or whatever. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get out of this landscape and I'm going to go to a flat landscape. Okay, so we'll work with some different landscapes. I'm going to bring these menus back up to stay by clicking those buttons I discovered. And I'm now going to go into this third menu on the left. So we had our location menu, right? And you can click these on and off. We have our date and time menu. And here is this sky and viewing options window, which I can bring up by clicking that, or I can bring up by clicking function F4. All right. So I think we'll wait for training video number 2. I'm going to try to keep these a little bit shorter so you don't have to watch 2 hours of stuff at once to look through a lot of these. But let's go right now to landscape. And you can see these options here. There's actually ways to add and remove landscapes in Stellarium. That's advanced stuff for us to talk about later. Show fog, not so interested. Show ground, what happens if I take that away? No ground. Yeah, I want the ground for now. We'll work with taking it in and out. Show landscape labels, not so interested. That's going to show me in some of the landscapes like names of buildings and stuff, okay? Use this landscape as default. I don't want to use this landscape as default. I don't think I want show illumination either. All right, so I'm going to go for now to a 0 horizon. and boring, we just get this green business to represent the grass and ground. As you can see, there's several options. Here's pretty flowers. There's Geneva, which at least shows some shape, which is true to nature, right? This Gros Mughal, I think it's Guériens, is a small French village in the valley of where Stellarium was born. Okay, it'd be cool if they gave us Stellarium's birth date and time, wouldn't it? All right. Hurricane, Jupiter, strange, Mars, a little more official maybe, look from the moon, from Neptune. Just pure ocean, which is a nice way to get a flat horizon that has something beautiful also, but I'm just going to go to this zero horizon and I'm going to use this as my default. Okay. Now, that means that when I quit my Stellarium and open it again, this place will be my default, right? Let's try that. Quit Stellarium and open Stellarium, and we are going to see that I made an assumption that's not necessarily true. Actually, it looks like it saved that automatically. Pardon the sound here again, please. It's also opening full screen. Okay, so one thing I had changed that didn't keep was this full screen. It did keep Monterey as my default location, which I had set, right? Look back over here towards the east a bit. Let's see what time it is. It didn't keep these menus up. They were up when we closed down, right? And I'm wondering actually if I hit these play buttons to keep them alive. And here's another keyboard shortcut. I can go Shift E to look east, Shift South to look south, Shift S, Shift W takes me west, Shift N takes me north. Okay, just like snap to the cardinal directions, which by the way, I can turn on and off here, right? So this compass rose in the lower menu, cardinal directions. I'm gonna look south. I'm going to zoom out, which is pulling back on the trackpad. I'm sure there's keyboard shortcuts as well that we'll look at. I want to make this ground level. Okay, and I'm just doing that, but I could use up and down buttons, but to get really precise with it, I'm going to use my mouse and just drag this until this horizon looks relatively flat, which is there. About there. Okay. Now I'm going to go into the sky and viewing options window. Actually, where I'm going to go here is to this configuration window. So something we'll utilize, okay? I want to do two things here. One that we won't save so much is save view. And that what that means is that when I open my Stellarium, I'm going to be looking due south, and I'm going to have this expanded view where I can also see east and west, which is like I have eyeballs like around to the side of my head, right? And we'll have different views. I usually like to be a little more zoomed in than this, but for now I'm just going to write save view, and then I'm also going to write save settings. So we'll use the save settings button a lot when we change our settings, okay? And so you'll see that again and again in these different training videos. But I'm wondering actually if I save these settings, first of all, I'm going to quit and I'm going to open up again. I'm wondering if that means it's going to come in not full screen. And since I wrote save view, here's that view. And yeah, it's true that it's not in full screen, which I enjoy, especially in these Zoom videos. If I want to jump back and forth, there's ways I can do it in different desktops and the Mac and yada, yada, yada. But I like having this. I also like to be able to represent Stellarium and show what version I'm running in my videos and teachings and, you know, Facebook shares and whatever. Okay. So last game is to cast this chart in Stellarium, and I'm going to take the asteroids and Chiron out. Well, you know, actually, let's leave them there. So Monterey, California, I'm already there. Let's just go through this one more time, repetition, right? So instead of Algeria today, I'm gonna scroll this thing down. I'm going to Brazil. Feels good. All right, now I want to bring it back to Monterey. And so in the location window, I can either type Monterey here, or because I set it up as my default, return to default location. And I can see down here, Monterey. I can see Monterey here as well, right? So great. So now I can close either with this X or just with the compass rose. I can open and close the location. All right. Now I want to go to 8:11 a.m. Okay. So I could just type it here, but this thing's moving quick, right? Quickly. So I'm going to hit pause. Turn this play button in the lower menu into a pause. Play again. Also, I can do that if I'm clicked on the screen somewhere. I can do that by hitting the number, keyboard number 7. It's a shortcut that's built into Stellarium. We'll see eventually where we can change our keyboard shortcuts and whatnot. 8 takes me to right now. 7 will pause time. I don't know how to play it with a keyboard shortcut, but I could push that pause button down there, turns it into the play, and here we go. I can fast forward or rewind through time. There's many days. Let's not get sick. I'll pause again, and then I'll go to right now. Here's another way to do it. Right now, I see that I'm paused because the seconds aren't moving, and then I'm simply going to turn this to 8:11:11 on January 1st, 2018 to get this chart to agree with this chart. All right. Now, I want to look south because in the northern hemisphere, that's where the midheaven is. Whoa, we're advancing into the content of our course material. In the southern hemisphere, it's north. Between the tropics, it can go either way, and it does so every day. More of that later when we begin our true journey. All right, so this whole not flat horizon thing is bugging me. I also want to zoom in a little bit. So I kind of like to see, well, I'm going to leave it right about here. I'm going to go Shift S, which takes me to looking due south. I'm going to try to get this ground flat as I can. And mostly just because I guess I'm obsessive compulsive. So there we go. There's a flat ground. Greetings, sir. There's my stepdad. And I'm going to go back here to this monkey wrench and star, the configuration window, which you can see I could also do function 2 to bring that window up. And I'm going to write save view. That's just that whole south thing that I sorted out. And I didn't really change my settings, but as long as I'm here, save settings. All right, so here is this chart for this moment now. But, you know, how can I tell that Mars is at the midheaven? Or how can I even see Mars and Jupiter and Mercury and Saturn, Venus, who are all above the horizon now? There's moon down below, right? If the sun's out. So see this image here? Atmosphere. And we're going to go through this toolbar next in lesson number 2, Stellarium training number 2. But for now, I just want to show you how you can take the atmosphere away by clicking that button. And when we do so, we get to see space, right? And so here's our planet friends. I also have some of the bright fixed stars elected to show up by name, it seems. And we'll show how we can change that. Spica, the shaft of wheat held by the priestess of the sky. Here's Antares, the heart of the scorpion, and Altair of the eagle, Aquila. All right, we'll be working with those stars throughout the course of the course. But you can see here I can turn the atmosphere on and off, which is especially effective during the day when the sun is up. I can also do that. You can see when I'm hovering over atmosphere, right here it says atmosphere, and then in brackets it says A. That's a keyboard shortcut. So I can use the A on my keyboard to turn the atmosphere on and off. One we'll use a lot. In fact, I like to turn my computer on with the atmosphere off because I like to look where the planets are. So having done that, I'm going to go to the monkey wrench and star, and I'm going to write save settings. And now my Stellarium settings will have no atmosphere when I come in. All right. Another thing I'm going to do is I want to bring in the Meridian line and the Ecliptic. And while we are going to talk a whole bunch about what those are, for now, I just want to bring them in. So here in the sky and viewing options window, you see markings. I'm going to choose to show the Meridian line and the Ecliptic of date. If you don't know what those are, don't worry about them so much. I'm also going to bring in the horizon. Why bring in the horizon? Because if I choose to take the ground away, this button here, or you can see as I hover over it, the keyboard shortcut G, the horizon line is going to tell me where the ground is still, right? And then I can see the cross of matter inside the circle of spirit, the earth glyph. I can also see all these meteor showers that I don't want to see. That's this button, toggle meteor showers. I'm going to show you how to turn that off permanently in case you, like I, want to. So here is this chart for this moment. And we will talk about how this ecliptic, the circle of spirit, why it is that is the zodiac. We can show that also by bringing the constellations in. If you know the constellations of the zodiac, you'll see that they embrace that golden circle of the ecliptic plane. And the horizon line, which is the ground, is the horizontal line in our chart, and the meridian line, which is a great circle running north-south. Here's on the north side, Shift N, having me look north, and Shift S, having me look south. I can see that this green line, the meridian line, is running through those cardinal directions. And the definition, folks, of the quadrant midheaven, we're getting well ahead of ourselves, is the intersection of the meridian and the ecliptic above the horizon. Where is that? Right here. Who's there? Mr. Mars, which I can also see. Here's the IC right on the chart, Mars and Jupiter at the midheaven. Vesta too, and she doesn't show up here, but I can do things to help that along. For now, this has been Stellarium training number 1, and your homework is to cast your birth chart, okay? So I'll just do mine. I was born, let me pause my share and I'll bring up my chart here. In Intrepid. So hold on one second. Great. Zoom share. Here's my nativity. I was born October 24th, 1975, 7:39 p.m. in Boston, Massachusetts, as you can see. As you can guess, Boston, Massachusetts is going to be in the Stellarium locations. So I go to the location window, I type Boston, and here's Boston, United States. I can confirm that it's there on the eastern seaboard in Massachusetts. I can also see 42 degrees, 21 minutes latitude. And there we go. And 7103 longitude north. And there we go. 71, 3 minutes longitude. Okay. So I know this is Boston where I was born. Great. There we are. And then I'll take this to my birth time. If the clock is running, as it will be in Stellarium when you first turn on, by the way, I'll stop that. I'll hit that again until it shows pause. I'm going to go to my birth time, which is 1975, 10, October 24th, 7:39 p.m., which is 1939:00. Best as I can tell on my birth certificate. And here's what the heavens looked like when I was born. It was night, would have looked not that dark, probably not that many stars, especially from Boston. But if you take the atmosphere away and see all these things, I can see the Pleiades, and if I take the ground away, I can see Aldebaran's about to rise, Antares had just set, and other things that I can also tell just by looking at my chart. But our goal here is to see the chart in the sky. to see, for example, that if I have my back to North Star and I'm looking here at Theta Capricornus, which I know to be the 14th degree of Aquarius, I know the midheaven of a native born in this moment. And we will pick it up there. Another time, this is enough for Stellarium training. Number one, download Stellarium, install it, have a look around at the things that we've shown so far, and cast your birth chart from an astronomy perspective. By the way, I'm going to go back to right now. That's the keyboard, button 8. I'm going to make my default, I'm going to return to my default location, which currently is Monterey. So that's fine. I'll change it when I need to. And because I brought in this ecliptic and this meridian, and I brought in the horizon, and I took the atmosphere away, I'm going to go to my configuration window and I'm going to save my settings. Okay, save settings button, so that when I open Stellarium again, I do have it set to open up on the moment now, right? And it's actually, you'll see that if I bring up my location window, I am in Monterey, where I set for a default, and the time window, you can see that the clock is ticking. Right? So we'll play with a whole lot more than this as we move along, and hopefully this has been informative. Stellarium is a gigantic program, and so I learned something every time I open it, I swear. Like I just learned how to keep these menus up at all times, which I actually dig. And there they are. After I save settings, they're just coming up that way. And I'm not coming up in full screen, as I showed before. And other things like having the ecliptic, the meridian, and the horizon aligned as defaults. All right, friends, see you in space. I'll be recording more Stellarium trainings as we move along, maybe even another one today. And stop live stream. Bye-bye.